All right. Well, this is a fan show, meaning we did this to provide the fans with a daily, almost daily Bruins recap, analysis, information that they can't always get. Local radio, not a slam at local radio. It is what it is, Razor, right? I mean, there's some coverage, but there's not nearly enough.
There won't be any coverage tomorrow after what the Pats did.
That's true. Fair point. And what the Bruins did or didn't do.
That's right.
As well. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe. But if the Patriots, using them as the example, or I guess the Red Sox, had done, what the Bruins did, which is better but not good enough, it wouldn't be on local radio. Well, it's a positive and this and everything. It would be a real deep dive into, I guess, should the fans be concerned? So not that I'm going to try and take a page out of local radio. I'm not a radio host. Hell, I'm hardly a podcast host, for crying out loud, I'm an analyst who's pretending to have the host role. I'm not being a smartass either, to be honest. That's what it is. But should the fans, I'll ask, if you're a fan, as we welcome you into Morning Brew with Jaffrey and Razor, by the way, Bruins lose to the Pittsburgh Penguins 4-1. Should the fans be concerned? I think that would be a big question that you would get. It's a simple question, but it's wide open. It's open-ended. So, Razor, should the fans be concerned? Are we not at DEFCON 5 just yet? Maybe we're at 3 or 4. Where are we at?
Yeah, I would say we're halfway down that line. I think you can be concerned. That you have to be concerned. I think when you have the 13-game stretch that they've had, and you're not playing 500 hockey over 10 games, and this organization, this team expects much more than that. The expectation's much higher. You have to be concerned. I think there is you can also check at and look at the injuries they have. They have Yarrow does a great job, but they have the guy who is the second best goalie on the planet, who hasn't played in 7 days now, the back end, and you can go through the line. So that keeps me away from DEFCON 5 or 10 or whatever the lowest of the low is. They're still in a playoffs. You could look at positives. However, it has not been good enough, and there's reason for concern that some of these guys might not snap out of this. This might be what they are this season.
So with that question, are you losing faith? Let me rephrase it. How much faith do you have in a guy like Charlie Coyle, Craig Smith, David Krejci, Jake DeBrusk, Sean Corrali, Chris Wagner? He was out tonight. I'm asking you and me, giving you my opinion, that you have faith in them getting out of this. Are we seeing what they are? And I just, I'm not ready to say it's over. I am not ready to do the old cliff jump yet. I'm just not.
No, neither am I. And that's why I'm trying to stay on the fence a little bit and just, okay, it's not, they're not the Buffalo Sabres. They're not the New Jersey. They're not there. They're not down there. But
by the way, if they were there, I think we'd have a hard time doing this show. I mean, as it is, I'm having a hard time doing this show now.
Probably not.
Because
it turns into a weekly one if it is.
Right. But with all that said, we're starting to say the same things over and over.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reality for some fans. And we get a lot of feedback. Thank you, fans, for the feedback between, social media, the YouTube channel. There are some people that are like, hell no, don't make a deal. This team isn't good enough. What are you going to make a deal for? And I get that. I mean, meaning I can take that view. And then there's people say we have to make a deal right now. But Razor, what I want to get away from is I don't want to think as a fan. I want to think as a mixture, as an analyst, fan, reality, etc. I'm flat out honest about this. The better the Bruins do, the better it is for us, buddy. I mean, truthfully, that's I do have part fan in me that I want them to do well, but I also want to be, my job is as an analyst. So, I'm not seeing enough from a couple of guys that says to me right now, Razor, that those players are going to be okay. I'm just,
and it's gone on long enough.
What's going to change? I guess that's the big question.
That's right, and that's why this has gone on so long now, and so long in NHL terms. That's 2 weeks. That's a long time, especially in a season like this.
Mm-hmm.
And for some of these guys, it's been all year. It's been 2 months, where you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, what's going to change for these guys? To your point, how much more motivation do they need? They've been put on the ninth floor. They've been changed the lines every single period. It feels like guys are moving around just to try and get someone going. And to your point, we keep saying it. Well, maybe it'll get this guy going. Maybe it'll get this guy going. And it's the NHL. You have to get yourself going at some point, and that hasn't seemed to happen. And to your point is, are you losing faith that it's a lost season for some of these guys? And you have to start feeling that. You just do. They're almost halfway through. And when you have 1 goal or no goals or 4 goals and not scored in 13, that's a large percentage of the season. And what is it that's going to change? Is one lucky bounce really going to change the whole season for a guy like that? I'm not sure. It doesn't. I don't have that feeling anymore that I might have 10 games ago.
Okay. Neither do I. So a trade for, let's say, a third liner for a third liner, is that even worth doing right now? Your issue for my issue. Your underperformer for mine. Really? Is that going to? Again, I'm not asking you 100. Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm throwing it out there into the podcast abyss.
I think if you go off of the ladder of, okay, first we're going to call someone out for their effort. Then we're going to put someone in the ninth floor. The next one is someone's going to get moved out. And then probably the last one is we're going to blow the whole thing up. So if you consider we're probably on the second or third rung of that, the next one is someone's getting moved out of town. Now, there's 2 ways that happens. One, to your point, you trade one problem for another problem. Mm-hmm. On the third line of 4, just to switch it up, or you go bigger and you try and really make your team better by typically mortgaging a little bit of your future. That's the way I see this going. One of those 2 things. I can't see this organization being okay with this where they're at. We've heard both Cam Neely and Don Sweeney talk about improving their team. They're not talking, having a shorter window, a smaller window with the core group. So yes, I think that next rung on the ladder for a struggling team is to move bodies and to try and get some motivation, try and get some awareness that this is unacceptable.
Do you think that this team still believes they can get out of it? Not what we think, what they think.
No, I do. I think when we hear them talk after games, I think they have an extreme belief in themselves. I think even hearing Marchand talk after the game tonight about putting all the shots on net, and at some point we keep doing we're playing hard, we're a hard team to play against, we had opportunities. I don't think that's hot air. I think they believe that. I think they and rightly so. They've achieved a lot, this group. And I think that, I think as leaders, they do believe that. Now, do I think that every single forward thinks he can score a goal right now? No, that doesn't seem evident to me in a lot of different ways. But as a whole, if you're asking me, I think this group thinks, yes, I think that if they think if the playoff starts tomorrow, that they can beat any of those teams in that division in a 7-game series.
A couple of things from my take. One, I don't know how different tonight's game, and we're doing this again late night after the Bruins lose 4-1 to the Pittsburgh Penguins in Pittsburgh. I don't know how much different it was. While it was better, yes, it was better. No freaking silver lining, though. No moral victory whatsoever. But I don't know how much different it was. Higher shot total raiser, but your big line was still your big line. Grzelcyk had a hell of a game offensively. 8 shots, right? 2 more attempts. But I still see the same problem of no secondary, tertiary, fancy way of saying third level, or now the fourth line level scoring. I didn't see it. Of course, the top line still look good, and I think they still have confidence. I think the other guys say, you know what, I keep working, things will be okay. I don't know if they have the same overall confidence, though, as the top guys. So I wonder, how different was this game? I don't know. Look, it was different in the sense compared to the Ranger game the other day, no question. But Halak letting up those 2 goals at the end of the first period, I mean, that was tough. I mean, what's the worst goal that you ever gave up in a National Hockey League game? Meaning one that you said, you were that guy in the Southwest Airlines commercial. You wanted to get away. What was that one for you?
Too many to think about.
No, come on.
No. I've won. It was in Toronto against Montreal, last game of the season, and we're fighting for playoffs, and it went in off my glove. Michael Ryder from the wing, gloving in, and it put our team down. We found a way.
Was it like Halak's goal, the first one tonight, like a Rodriguez type, or no?
It was similar to that. Yaro's hit and went down. Mine hit and went up and over. Very similar though, actually. Same side of the ice, that left wing.
And a right shot
to my right shot. Yeah, exactly. From that side. Fortunately, we came back to win. We were down 3-1 at that time. We came back to win that game. And but yeah, that's one that I remember that comes right off the top. And it was just as much to your point, and I think that's the point you're trying to get at, is the timing of it.
Right.
I gave up, you give up lots of, but if you win 4-1 after giving up that bad goal, that's okay. Right. I remember a terrible goal I gave up in the same season against Buffalo when they were the best team in the league. They started the year 10-0. I gave up a terrible goal Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada, and we went on to score 4 goals and beat them for the first time of the season, and they were a powerhouse. So to that point, I don't remember that goal as much, and it was probably worse in technique, but because you win, because your team comes back, it doesn't matter. But the timing of it makes it worse, and that was the case tonight for Yaro. To give those 2 up, and we said in the margin of error, he just doesn't have any of that right now. He has no room to give up a bad goal. They're just not going to score enough at the other end, and that's what that's the issue tonight.
Yeah. Yaro doesn't have to, I don't think, stand up in the locker room and say, it's my fault, guys. I think everybody knew that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me if he said something while he sat down after the first period. And, I got your back, guys. Sorry about that. Like I'm here for you. And I don't think the guys would even think twice about it, even though it's deflating. You needed one of those 2 saves. You can handle one of those goals. You can't handle 2. The second one was obviously a special shot in the sense not many players would take it from there. Mm-hmm. I don't think as many players would have. I guarantee you there's a little movement on that. Sidney Crosby uses the ugliest stick blade in the world. It's almost like, I don't know, it's all disjointed. It's
got 3 different curves on it.
3 curves on it, yeah. Right. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But he got a lot on it, and it was quick, hard. But you'd say Yaro should have had that one. Uh-huh. But I don't think that Yaro's teammates were raking him. I don't think they were sitting there under their breath saying, Jesus Christ.
No.
It's,
yeah.
He's had their asses big time, a lot.
Yeah.
So it's just a shame, the timing, end of the first. They never, the Malkin
and then they ended up not having a good second, right? And
right.
Cassidy talked about it. They left their game. They got away from it again, tried to go one-on-one too often.
Power play couldn't come through.
Tried to make plays at the blue line rather than getting in deep and working them in behind like they had been doing in the first 16 minutes of the game. I thought they did a really good job down low. The D were activating at the proper times. and they got away from that again. And the reason for that is confidence and belief. And when this team does those things on a consistent basis, it usually works out for them. But right now, they're just trying too much. They're trying too much. It's flat out.
Yeah. So what do we do? We, as in
Yeah.
the Bruins. That was lame. What do they do?
Yeah.
I am the furthest thing from what. But what if we're not coaching? We're making decisions. What do we do? Meaning, what do you change tomorrow? Forget the goaltending. We're going to talk about that in a minute, and that's a big decision. I don't think it's that hard of a decision, quite in my take. But do you change the lineup? Do you go into the game with Pastrnak with Krejci? I don't see that happening as much as I think it should. That's just a me take. That's just me. Throw a little wrinkle at him.
Of all the things, so thinking about it, I think you're almost getting to the point where I would leave the lineup the same. I would leave the lineup the same.
I mean, what are your choices? Studnicka.
That's right. Yeah.
Wagner.
I didn't mind the fourth line. I thought they were fine in the first. They didn't play much after because you're chasing the game. You're trying to catch up. They're just not going to play as much. Mm-hmm. I think you keep it the same. You move past it with Krejci. And I might even consider moving Richie up on the first line, putting him on the other wing, and having him go to the net and forecheck a little bit and get the puck deep, and move David down with Krejci, and leave DeBrusk over there. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. And then,
but I wouldn't mind seeing them just keep the lineup instead of moving guys in and out. And I think that's, they've been doing so much of that lately. Maybe that gets everyone's attention. I'm not sure.
That's the point, though, Razor. It doesn't feel like there's a lot to do.
No,
and maybe that's concerning. So let's play this out. Actually, no, let's do this first. Swayman or Vladar? Dan Vladar, either one. I think it's Vladar.
Well, again, not being so. I mean, I'm going Dan Vladar.
Okay.
Now, you preface that a little bit. We don't get to see them. We don't get to see what's really going on. But my reasoning is there's 3 or 4 reasons. One, he was one of the best AHL goaltenders in the league last year. This year doesn't count. It just doesn't count. Yes, neither of them lost. Like they're playing 2 different teams. There's no one in the stands. It's not the same. It's just not the same heat. Last year he was the best goalie in the league. Last year he signed a 3-year contract with this team. Last year he played in the Stanley Cup Finals, albeit an awful game to get into, but he was in the bubble the whole time, facing these guys, watching these games. And then this year, he's spent the majority of the time getting those shots as the third guy, or more so than Swayman. So yes, Swayman's the shiny toy over in the corner. He's the new guy. Everyone, he had a great season last year in college hockey, but the reality is you don't want to put a kid in a situation that isn't great. And this is one of those situations. It's not like the team's rocking and rolling and they're going to give up, 2 shots and they're going to score 5 goals for the kid. I think you put the guy who's a pro in, and he deserves that as an organization. You want to reward the guy who's been around longer. That's the way I see it. So I would be much more surprised if Swayman ends up in that than
me too.
Latter.
Me too. Swayman may end up having more potential as a future NHLer.
Yeah.
However, I think you do the kid almost a disservice if you throw him in. Almost. He wasn't on the bench. He didn't back up the last 2 games. That was Dan Vladar.
Yeah, and I think we talked about, and that's the biggest point for me.
Right. He didn't back up. Backing up and staying in the same town isn't that tiring. Now, if you said, well, we don't want the guy to warm up and dress and this and that because then we fly after the game and then we'll just start him in the next city. They're literally staying in the same city. He had a warm up. He gets to see the shooters a little bit from the backup seat on the bench, meaning the other team. He gets to see what the game is like, the in-arena presentation. And I know there's hardly anybody in there, but it is still very different than morning skate. It is.
No, and again, all of there's a lot of thought put into all of this stuff. It's the National Hockey League. So if you're making a decision, they already made the decision.
Yeah.
If they're making that decision, you are thinking about all the little details. And for me, one of the biggest ones is, okay, you're going to play tomorrow night. I want you to sit here and be as close to Sidney Crosby as you can possibly be. I want you to be as close as Evgeni Malkin. And in warm-up, I want you to sit at the red line and watch these guys and feel what it feels like to be on the ice with them. Because then, listen, whoever's playing, either one of those guys playing, they're thinking about that all day tomorrow afternoon. They're thinking about it right now. They're probably still awake. They're probably lying in their bed, man, going, wow, I get to play against Crosby and Malkin. I've been thinking about this for 12 years, and I get to play these guys tomorrow night. So the more familiar you can get them to that, the better, which is, and everybody in the organization would think that way. And Flatter was the one that was closest. So
Yeah, I think he plays.
yeah.
Speaking of Malkin, he was really good. And he's engaged again now. I said on the broadcast on Nesson, he looked disengaged, unhappy, grumpy. And trust me, if anybody knows grumpy, it's me.
Yes.
He looked grumpy. He looked unhappy the first time these teams played. For some reason, he wasn't engaged. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, he had a bad
He
back,
could have had something
some
going on in
back
his
that
life.
hurts and so annoying, and he had to play, but he couldn't not.
Right.
Like one of those injuries where you have to play through it, but it just sucks.
His wife could have been giving him grief or something.
yeah.
You never know.
Didn't take the trash out.
Exactly. You never know. Have you ever played? By the way, he looks fantastic now.
Oh, he's awesome.
Who was the most disgruntled or moody superstar that you played with?
Jeff O'Neill might not have been a superstar. He scored 40 goals once in the NHL.
Who's
but
that?
He was Jeff O'Neill in Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
He was moody.
Yeah.
He could put a good grump on in the morning for sure.
He's
Jason
become a
Allison,
solid broadcaster.
a Boston Bruins guy, Jason Allison. He was super moody. I mean, I think he just didn't like young guys, but he was definitely someone you kind of stayed away from.
He didn't like young guys, huh?
I don't know. I probably not, but he was moody. He was very moody.
Did he ever warm up to you?
No, I don't think
Really?
he probably doesn't even remember I played with him. But yeah, those 2000, like in the 2000s, you remember those old guys, like the guys were like 34, 35. Man, oh man, they could be really moody. I feel like guys are less moody now. Is that fair to say, the younger guys? Or you can't be a moody guy in the NHL anymore? I feel like it's not as bad.
It's interesting. I don't know. I mean, Malkin seems to have mood swings. He does. He's got, and by the way, he's got some old school in him. The way he plays,
he does.
the way he
I
thinks.
know,
he does.
yeah.
He would fit in the 80s, the 90s, 2000s.
He could be on those
would.
USSR teams, right?
He would. He would be
Yeah.
just fine right there.
Yeah.
I never got that you don't like young guys, quite honestly, because you need young guys, especially more than ever now, to be a good team. Maybe then you didn't. Maybe those guys then, because they didn't make the money that everybody makes now. I mean, even the lowest paid guy is making $750,000.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's gone through that cycle too, where now even the older guys were making money when they were young.
Right.
Like I was at that cycle, like the guys were getting big signing bonuses, and the older guys didn't. You had to wait till you were 30, 31. You had to wait till you were 31 years old to get paid in the NHL in 2002.
Maybe
Crazy.
that's why they were grumpy. Yeah. So they were afraid of losing their job. They were afraid of everything.
Yep.
Listen,
it's more fun to talk about that than the game.
it is more fun to talk
Holy
about
smokes.
that than where the Bruins are. They're not Buffalo, as you said. But yet, you know what? They're also not the New York Islanders right now. So where are they? And I think that's the biggest thing. When it all comes down to it, folks, The most obvious question, but is also the most frustrating, is what are the Boston Bruins? Were they the 10-1-2 team? Sure doesn't feel like it. Are they the team that is a couple of games? What are they, 4-7-2 now? Am I right? Is it 4-7-2 in the last 13? It feels closer to that than the other, and that's troublesome. They got a game Tuesday night in Pittsburgh. We'll have another morning brew with Jaffe and Razor for you after that, and then after that game, they have a game Thursday and Saturday against the Buffalo Sabres. You cannot look forward to the Buffalo Sabres because you've got to try and take care of business with Pittsburgh. So let's see what happens there. That'll wrap this one up. The big question, again, is can the Bruins get back on track against one of the better teams now, not just in the East Division, but in the Eastern Conference. There's no Eastern Conference. That's stupid.
I know. It's just whatever this.
See, I told you I'm not a host. I suck.
It doesn't even matter what it is. It's just
no, it doesn't. You're right.
Right.
By the way, if anybody's noticed, this is a nice little hat my buddy just gave me from Collier's.
Yeah.
The Butterman. If you have any real estate, like corporate real estate stuff, go see Butterworth. Okay, he'll take care of you. All right, Razor. Listen, we got a busy week. That'll wrap things up for this morning brew with Jaffe and Razor. Get some rest. I'll do the same. Get ready for your college games and me too coming up.
It's a big week.
Bruins lose 4-1. They get right back at it in Pittsburgh on Tuesday night. We'll have another morning brew for you after that one. And as always, please enjoy your coffee.